the whole concept of founder market fit and right to win, right, which basically flows from the natural strengths of every founder and of every founding team. And I think for you, for example, as a repeat founder, there are a bunch of assets and experiences that you would have gathered as part of RecruiterBox. How much should founders lean into kind of the superpowers versus kind of going generically and saying that, look, I mean, I can take on kind of any market from first principles?
I think it's an important consideration. Uh, uh, there were a couple of ideas that we had, which we thought were great ideas. Um, but we didn't pick them because we didn't believe we were the right founders to go after them. They met every other criteria except the fact that we were perhaps not the best people to go after it. And uh, I think every founder who's probably has to come up with their own way of evaluating what it is that their strengths are. But at least the framework that we had is that was a rather uh, simplistic framework. Uh, the way we were looking at it is that, hey, in basically any idea that we pick, you could basically draw like a two-dimensional graph. And the x-axis, you could basically say there is product risk. And the way we describe product risk is, you know, uh, you asking yourself as to, can this be pulled off? And on the y-axis is you have what we call as market risk, is basically, this concept around, do you think the market wants this? And just to give ideas of things that are high on product risk, but maybe close to zero on market risk, is autonomous driving. Uh, like especially if you circle back to about 5 years ago when we were trying to make this decision, like the autonomous driving was out there, but I don't think anybody's debating that it will be useful if it works. And the problem really is that, can you get it to work? To a reasonable degree of so that's like a extreme case of high product risk but low market risk. And an example of high market risk and low product risk is pretty much anything that is like you're basically backing yourself in your ability to sort of create demand for something which could be relatively commoditized. Like I would take I know it's not an example from the technology space, but you could take something like liquid death. And fundamentally, what we asked ourselves as founders is that, where do our strengths lie? And we backed ourselves as being product founders, and then not so much as, like, our strength wasn't exactly at GTM. And we said that, hey, if I had to pick a problem, like I would roughly pick a problem that's high on product risk but relatively low on market risk. So again, compliance fell into that category where at the time it looked like we aren't quite sure if this is like a service-based industry that can be productized, and I don't want to be another services company. So there was high product risk in that, but relatively low market risk, in the sense that we were just based on the fact that there are so many services company and a cottage industry of everybody who helps people with compliance, that, hey, the market risk was relatively low. So that was our internal framework. I'm sure this doesn't work with other founders, but it falls roughly in alignment with what you were saying. Like we got to back your strengths as a founder, and not every problem might be, they might be great in isolation, but may not be a great for you.
Totally. And, this reminds me of that kind of classic quote, which I feel is very true, which is, first time founders tend to focus on product and second time founders tend to focus on distribution, right? So this is kind of, you're trying to almost de-risk market, right? Before even building the product out, because that's, I think, the market speaks